Hi, this is Aria Curzon, the voice of Mandy Strasberg, and you're watching Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Thank you, Aria. Hello, everybody. This is Devin Francis, aka Leonard Meltzner.
And this is Victoria.
And you're watching the 25th episode of the Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Woo!
Yay! I don't have a party blower, so the Sonic will have to do.
And he couldn't find his rape whistle, so...
Yeah. This is the 25th episode. So exciting. Look at this excitement. Woo! I can't believe we've made it to 25 episodes. I can't believe you guys have stuck around watching us on YouTube for 25 episodes for some reason.
I'm kidding.
So thank you so much for all of this. We're not going to keep you for long before turning you over to the interview because it's Aria Kurzan and that's exciting. You get to talk to her. Well, you don't get to talk to her. We talked to her, and it was tons of fun. And you guys will get to see just how much fun we had in just a minute.
We talked to her using your questions, and speaking of which...
It's true. Speaking of which, nothing, because that's after the interview.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
You'll have to wait in suspense.
For those of you who remember, the first interview we did was the 6th episode of the Oddcast. We interviewed Austin and Tasha Peachy, our good friends and fellow fans of the show, who run the Adventures in Odyssey blog and ran the Adventures in Odyssey blogcast, from the ashes of which our podcast sort of phoenixed out of, in a way. So the plan, at least for now, with our interviews on this podcast is to alternate between fan interviews and cast/crew interviews. So since this is our second one and we're talking to a cast/crew person, specifically the crew person, who is Arya Noel Kurzan. So for those of you who don't know, Arya is most famous for playing our beloved Mandy Strasberg on Odyssey, as well as playing Clara Portland from the episode Clara. That was her first role in Odyssey, whom Whit almost adopted before he opened Whit's End. Arya has acted in 56 episodes of Odyssey, and I believe 51 of those, yes, were as Mandy. She's played 10 different characters, although Clara and Mandy were basically the only ones who were real characters and not like BTV or kids radio characters. So she's been on the show for a long time. It was very exciting that we got to talk to her outside of Odyssey. She's also famous for roles such as being in The Prince of Egypt, Tarzan, the Disney version, The Muppet Movie, which came out in 2011, being Ducky in the later The Land Before Time videos, being the Corn Chip Girl on Disney's Recess, and many, many other things. Very exciting to have been able to interview her. She's a lovely lady. It was very much fun. And so, unless you have anything else to add, Victoria?
Enjoy the interview.
Yes, we'll turn you over right now. All right, hey everyone, this is Devin.
And this is Victoria.
And we are here with Aria Kurzan, the voice of Mandy Strasberg and Clara Portland on Adventures in Odyssey, and we are all extremely excited getting to do this interview. Wonderful Christmas present.
I'm excited too. Yay!
Yes. It's very exciting to have Aria for our first interview with the cast and crew members, so we're all very happy to be here today.
Yay!
All right, so the first question, I'll throw one other one because this is the first question I thought of, honestly, when we came for the interview, and also when I posted asking people to ask questions, this was the first one that came up. How was the Michael Buble concert?
That was the first one that came up? Ah!
That's the first one I thought of. And then that ended up also being the first one that anyone...
That's hilarious. It was so good. It was so good. It was better than I even expected. Because, I mean, I love him and I love his music, but I had no idea what to expect. And he did all of his hits. He had amazing sets that, like, moved. Like, the stage went up and down and, like, the background changed. There was, like, projections. And there was fire. There was fire. There was fire. I mean, like, you know, controlled fire.
Yeah,
but
okay. That's a good clarification.
Yeah. He came out, he slid down the stage in like his cool, I don't know, slidey shoes, and he sounded amazing. He was really funny. Like, I I don't know. I mean, I knew he kind of has like a wicked sense of humor, but I've never seen him in a concert setting, so it was really funny. I loved it. It was great. Thanks for asking that. And that's he's a Canadian, so I guess that's a good good little.
That's true. I didn't know that until he sang at the Olympic opening ceremonies last.
Really?
3 years ago now. My goodness, it's been a long time.
Oh wow!
Since the Olympics were here.
I saw a band, and their opening thing was they set their cymbals on fire, like the drummer, and then he put them out by hitting them a bunch of times with the sticks, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
How do you set your cymbals on fire?
He had
do you put something
there was
on
like
the
a
cymbals, or?
cymbal underneath, and it had a little cage over it with holes in it, so like the fire could come out, and it was full of oil. And yeah.
Oh.
That's so cool. What concert was that?
It was a youth rally I went to, and I can't remember what they were called.
Was that in Grand Forks?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know about this.
I forgot to tell you.
Was that recently?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Very cool. Well, there was no drum sets on fire at his concert, but there was fire, so that's really cool.
I was very glad to see that you got to go to the... Oh, still camera cut for a second. We were very glad to see that you got to go, because I know how much you love Michael Buble, so knew that was very exciting for you.
I'm glad he means a lot to me. I've been wanting to see him. Last time he came through LA was, I don't know, it had to have been like 3 or 4 years ago, and I had a final that night or something. Like that night I had a final. I was so upset. So yes, I couldn't miss him again.
All right.
Thank you. I can't tell. Is there like a delay? Oh, it must be.
Sorry?
Is there a delay? I can't tell if there's like a delay. Probably
some small one because you're using Skype, but it's not bad. Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, so let's get into the Odyssey questions first. So I think the logical first thing is how you first started with Adventures in Odyssey, how you got hooked up with that or heard of it in the first place.
Well, let's see. I was about 7, maybe. I had an agent, voiceover agent, and first of all, I had some experience with the show, just listening to it. One of my best friends, at the time from kindergarten, his whole family listened to the show. And so when it came around, agents told me about it, or told us about it. My mom, we were pretty excited. And yeah, my mom took me to the audition at Mark Grau Studios. And I don't remember what I had to do, probably just read something. And I think they must have just liked my voice, I guess. And next thing I know, I was on the show, and my friends were very excited about it.
I can imagine so.
Yeah.
So did you know any of those other actors then from previous acting work? Because I knew it was 6, right, when you started doing
6 or
stuff?
7, around there. Between 6 and 7. Yeah, I don't think I knew anybody at that age. I don't think I even knew who they were, because a lot of them were established actors. I don't think I had any idea, because I was so young. So no, I met everybody there for the first time ever. It was really cool. Everybody was really nice to me too.
Have you met any of them since then in other projects that you've done?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I've run into, Phil Lawler a couple times. He's obviously, well, he does voices. I was going to say he's not an actor, but that's not true. He does voices sometimes he did voices for the show. Worked with him. I've seen Jess Harnell in various places, at either.
He does get around.
Yeah, you kind of can't do anything without running into him in the voiceover world, at least. And I talked to Katie and I talked to Chris, just keep in touch at least. I don't really see them very much. And I think I've seen Will. I think I saw his band one time. That he has like the Cactus Cowboys.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think I saw them once in Altadena. They played a gig. But it's just been, here and there like that. It's been a while since I haven't seen anybody on the crew in years, so it's too bad.
That's sad. I guess he would have been Petrie in The Land Before Time still when you were doing Ducky, but voiceovers are recorded separately, right? So he wouldn't have actually met with him doing that.
Who? He actually was. He was Petrie in the original one, but I was Ducky in 5 through 13.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know if he did it for all of them or if they.
No, I think he did the first. Yeah, I think he did the first major one. I'm not sure if he did any of the sequels. Because I know he wasn't in any of mine, so he might have done 1 through 4, but I don't know. But I think Jess was in one of those too. Like I said, like you said, you run into him everywhere.
He's in everything.
Yeah, lucky guy. He's so talented.
Yes, he's pretty incredible.
I'm always amazed at the talent that AIO has gotten. Like Corey Burton. I mean, he does everything as well. I think Frank Welker. Has Frank Welker been on the show? I saw him at the studio one time, so I don't know if he was actually on the show or just doing something else. Who else? There's so many amazing people who are just in everything.
Yeah, it's truly incredible. We watching TV, especially Disney movies, so many big Disney actors are in Odyssey, like Jim Cummings, who is Tigger
great.
and Winnie the Pooh. He sang Be Prepared, the last chorus from The Lion King, as Scar.
Wow.
And a lot of other things, too.
He was Ray in The Princess and the Frog.
That, too.
I know that. I love that movie, so.
Me, too.
Yeah, it's so cute. I know, it's so cool. I got to work with a lot of greats. I consider them greats. They're like legends, in their own time.
Yeah.
So
I always love it when I'm watching a movie or something, or watching TV, and you hear a voice, you're like, that sounds familiar. Like, I know that person from Odyssey. It's crazy, the talent that they can bring in.
Seriously. It's exciting. Makes the show all that much better, because the acting has always been really good, I think.
Yeah. All right. So, for you, being on the show, you've played, it is... How many 10 different characters, technically speaking, but
really?
most of those are counting like fictional characters from kids radio and BTV. Okay. So the only real canon characters that you've played were Clara, and then you were Mandy for the rest of the time. Mm-hmm. So I know that Dave Griffin, being Jimmy way back in the day, he played a whole bunch of one-off characters for a long time, and then he found out he was going to be this Jimmy kid all the time as a main character, and he kind of felt like it was a bit limited, like it felt weird suddenly being confined to one character. So when you were first Mandy and they told you about that, did you know what a main character she was going to be, and how did you feel about being like the same main character all the time? Yeah.
Well, at that age, I can't say I was like extremely diverse, and I don't really know if they would have brought me in, because I sounded very unique. I still kind of have a unique sound, and I didn't know how to do much different at the age of 7 or 8. So I thought it was an absolute privilege. I mean, who doesn't want to come back and be in multiple episodes and get a character that grows up and goes through all kinds of different things? I thought it was great. But again, I didn't start doing a whole bunch of different, one-off characters like you say. So I didn't experience that transition.
Yeah.
I just thought it was cool, since I know I did Clara and they brought me back as Mandy. I thought that was like a blessing. I was like, hey, they like me, they want to bring me back and keep me around. So it was pretty cool for me personally. And I really wanted the opportunity though to do some more characters as I got older, but they didn't really have me do too many, except maybe in I think I did, like you said, the kids' radio. I had a couple of characters with little accents or something, but nothing too major. That is fun.
So overall, what was your favorite episode to do, being Mandy?
That's so hard. I really like, I feel like I say this every time, but I like Wishy Was, because I was singing. It was fun to do, and I love that, what the story it's based on. I like that I got to be the Dorothy character. And I really liked Worst Day Ever. I think that's what it's called. Or the one where Mandy is narrating to herself.
Life in the Third
Life
Person.
in the Third Person.
Yeah, I liked that one too, because it was interesting to have to go back and forth between conversation and inner monologue or inner dialogue. And I loved any episode. See, I'm going really broad here, but I loved any episode that I got to do with Scarlett, Travis, Lauren, Chaffel, and I'm blanking on names here. The guy who played Jared. Hope he doesn't see this.
It's
I should know this.
It's your favorite character.
He's my favorite character.
It's
Brandon
Gilberstadt.
Yeah.
Brandon, yes. I haven't seen him so long, but I loved any episodes I got to do with them because it was fun. It's like playing with your friends. So I don't know. I can't recall specific episodes, but those are always fun. What was the one? Did you guys remember where I think we went camping?
Strange Boy in a Strange Land.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
with
that
you and Liz, and then you found Jared hiding in the woods.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, hiding in a tree with night vision goggles at 3:00 in the afternoon.
Good memory. Yeah, I like that one.
All right. Do you have a least favorite episode that you did? Was there one that just you really didn't like?
Not that I can remember. It's hard. I mean, it takes a lot for me not to like something, and they were always pretty fun to do. So I can't think of anything. Oh, I really loved the live episodes too. But no, I can't think of anything I didn't like, really.
Right. We'll steer free of controversy for now.
Yeah.
So do you ever still listen to the show, whether the ones that you did listen again or listen to the new episodes coming out?
I haven't in a while. I would like to. I just barely ever get the opportunity. I mean, I don't know if I would listen online. I don't have any of the new recordings or the new, if they come out on CD now?
Yeah, and on MP3.
Oh, okay. You can get them on iTunes?
Yeah, they're in the iTunes store, and you can download them from the Focus store.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't. There's so much to catch up on, and it's a good idea, though, actually, for road trips and things. I might have to pick it up again.
It's always good. I mean, last summer I delivered pizza, and so, you can listen to it while you're driving around all day.
Oh, yeah, it's a great idea. I should do that because I really don't like driving through LA. So anything to keep my mind occupied and off traffic and terrible drivers seems like a good idea.
Other than
and sometimes music doesn't always work for that unless it's music you're really into. Sometimes just having the radio on can make it worse. So having something that you can focus on and follow along would probably be great.
Well, I remember we talked on Facebook once about how you like to pretend that you're being a secret agent while you're driving around and ducking in and out of traffic as you go over the freeway and such.
That does sound like something I would say. Yeah. That's the amazing thing about music is that it can change. Music in general does that to me. If I'm listening to something, even if I'm walking down the street, suddenly I feel like I'm in a scene of a movie and I'm the main character, thinking and going through that opening scene.
I do the exact same thing all the time.
You do?
Well, I'll be driving around and you have a really epic song playing and you picture you're in the opening scene of a movie and the credits rolling overhead. You're being someone important, going somewhere important.
Exactly. The hero.
Yeah.
The protagonist. Or driving, I think I was listening to swing, jazz swing music, maybe Stefan Grappelli or the other guy who has two fingers, the guitar player. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
No? Okay, never mind. I was listening to them going through Hollywood one time, and suddenly I felt like I was transported to a different era, and that was so fun too. Especially when you're going through Hollywood, it kind of makes it fun.
Yeah, all the scenery everywhere and stuff really drives the ideas home.
Yeah. my mind wanders very easily, and I come up with the with scenarios. But that, oh my gosh, now I remember. I remember saying something about the freeway, and like it can be hard for me to not speed because all these like will be going on in my head. Like suddenly the cars behind me, I'll imagine that they're chasing me.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, right, yeah, that's probably not great. Not the same. I haven't done that in a while though.
So, do fans of the show ever ask you questions about things about episodes they don't remember, like trivia kind of things you just don't remember?
That I don't remember?
Yeah, like people ask you questions and you just don't remember stuff.
Yeah, I try not to admit it too much, but definitely. I mean, because I know how it is when you're a fan or when you watch a show and listen to it all the time, you tend to like really remember things, especially if you listen to it multiple times. Mm-hmm. And sometimes with me, like if I've done an episode, I might not get to listen to it again. I mean, I pretty much heard everything that I've done, but a lot of the stuff was when I was a kid, so I don't remember every little detail, or even like the scenes I wasn't in. You know, I might not know a certain thing that happened or thing that was said. So sometimes people will stump me, and then I'll have to ask them to fill me in and remind me. It always kind of feels bad, but they're very helpful. A lot of people know way more than I do. Sad to say.
I can understand that. You know, I can understand like the fan dynamic of, you know, talking to someone in something and being like, you're in this. How could you not, you know everything about it? But now that we have our own podcast, you know, we get messages about people telling me like, oh, I love this quote and stuff, and I never even watch the episodes again after I have to put all the time into editing them and stuff. By the time they're on YouTube, I'm like, I can't watch this again.
Yeah. I'm just terrible in general. Like I could watch a movie and like the next day kind of just barely remember what happened in it. I don't know why. So I'd probably have to listen to something at least a good 5 times to really know how it went. Like I could tell you every single line from like Princess Bride or Legally Blonde or Hairspray or a lot of those movies, but I've seen them like 15 times, so
that happens to me too. I have to go through something like 1 billion times in order to remember it. Or else I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, me too. And it's weird. I memorize lines pretty quickly. I don't know why, but maybe it's just because it's very focused.
Being an actress, it's a good skill.
That's true. It's probably just a skill that I've developed over time because I've done it so much. You know, would make sense. You pick up little like tricks and stuff on how to pick things up quickly.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, so moving to more specific things about one other non-specific question. So what was it like acting? So did you ever, while you were still on the show, did you kind of get a sense of how big some of these other actors were that you were with? And what was it like, being around them doing these sorts of things for Odyssey?
Well, I got to watch a lot when I wasn't in the scenes. I did get to watch the actors, and I was always so impressed that the same people were doing multiple characters and accents and just completely transforming their voices. So I was impressed with them off the bat, without even knowing who they were. But I'd say when I didn't even realize how big Corey Burton was, because he's just this like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Like he's so unassuming, and he was always like, "Oh, you're the talented one. Oh, you're so great. I'm glad I get to work with you." And he was just like, he makes you feel like so good, so good about yourself when he's like you. And it took me a while to realize that he's like, because he just seems to have no ego, like not whatsoever. So it took me a while to realize he's like a big name in the voiceover world. And when I found out, that Jess was an Animaniac and a lot of the other things he's done, I was pretty fan. I became a big fan pretty quickly.
In one of the last live show episodes, he was doing a lot of voices at one point as Wooten, and then he did his voice from Animaniacs, which was Wacko, and I started freaking out because I love that show.
And no, I think I did too. I was just like, it's just so fun. I remember he did a Christopher Walken impression for me once too, and I think he did what's the guy? He had the show Cosby. He did Bill Cosby. I was like, he's like incredibly diverse.
Yeah, he does a really good Bill Cosby. He did it in
he's done it in a couple live shows.
Yeah, he did. Well, he did it in BTV Live, and he also did it for The Present Long Ago. Which, speaking of The Present Long Ago, that was...
transition.
Thank you. That was the episode in which we found out that in the future you were going to marry Trent Dwight. So, what did you think when you first found out about that?
I think I was like, what? Really? When I felt like it was completely out of, like, I didn't see it coming. So I was like, how is that going to happen? But I mean, did you guys see it coming? Did anybody see it? I'm glad I'm not the only one.
That album was probably about the 5th Odyssey album we ever got, so we didn't really know who Trent was that well.
Oh,
so that was one of the few ones that we got kind of like scattered around before we started getting them from the beginning. So we didn't really know enough to think one way or the other about it. But it is interesting. I'm pretty sure it's the first time and the only time that there's ever been an Odyssey episode that was set in the future. So it's the first time, the only time that we've ever had any kind of like foreknowledge of events like that. So did that change, how you felt acting with Corey in any way? Like, did that ever seem awkward doing those episodes, knowing your characters were going to get married in the future or something, or did that not change anything?
No, I mean, it was just kind of funny after that. It was like, oh, hey, we're getting married, like, but it was like, that was one of the last episodes, so it really didn't, wasn't it? For me, it was like one of the last, later episodes.
The last one you were in was a one with you two. It started back in 44 was when it was first introduced, but the last episode that you were in was
in album 50.
Yeah, and that was one between you and Trent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we didn't really have much time for it to, become anything like funny or to make any jokes about it really or anything. It's just, it was surprising, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that's happening. That's cool. And he's a really sweet guy. It was the funniest part for me was instantly my mind goes from like it being a show to like the idea of it being real life, or like us as actors, like as people. I'm like suddenly I'm like, well, would I marry him? But I'm like, I don't know about that. But so that was the only kind of funny mental shift for me. And he's a very sweet guy, and he's very very fun to work with. And I always liked working with Corey, the other Corey. I don't remember his last name. Corey. Padnos. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'm sorry?
Corey Padnos.
Yes, Padnos. Oh, that's a great name. I remember that now. I'm terrible with last names, like, because I don't. Who calls people by their last name all the time? You just call them by their first name. So
yeah,
that's not how I work. Is he still? He's not on the show anymore, right?
No, he's not. Sadly,
at the end of album 50, there was a new bunch of kid characters that came in. So,
but we really miss you guys.
Yeah,
we miss you. Well, we miss being on the show too. It was so much fun. Who are the new kid characters?
There's a boy named Matthew Parker who's an inventor, kind of like Wit. He's kind of like a young Wit.
Okay.
And there's a detective named Emily Jones.
And yeah, Emily's brother Barrett. Matthew has 2 sisters. They're the 2 main families now, and there's a couple other scattered kid characters.
There's this kind of character that's like a little bit of a bully, but not really an extreme bully, named Jace, who's my favorite out of the new characters.
Okay.
They took Rodney's character, because Rodney had been on the show. Rodney had been in middle school for about 30 years on Odyssey. So they took his kind of, he's sort of a bully, but he's also sort of like a goof, like not a serious bully, which is weird, because I mean, he's sort of like in middle school and like, you know, not that good of a bully, but he's also technically been in jail twice. So
Wow.
When they brought in the new one, they kind of split him into two, and Jay became the more like goofy side of him, and then we had Vance King, who became the more serious gang member kind of side of him. Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So to come back to Mandy's relationships, what was your opinion before Trent came in as a romantic figure? There was a couple episodes where you and Liz fought over Seth Young and broke up. His friends argued a bit, got into a hair commercial. So what was it like having that first, you know, kind of romantic interest and having to fight with Lauren Schaffel?
We had so much fun because we didn't get to do anything like that before. So, you know, getting to pretend that we were all snarky and, you know, mad at each other and kind of like trying to one up each other or whatever. It was so much fun. We just do our lines and then we laugh and make jokes about it. And it was interesting seeing that they kind of reacted like, you know, that it kind of got the better of even them. So that was interesting because I'm sure a lot of friends might go through that at some point. So it's interesting to see how they reacted to it.
All right, and for the other final story arc that you had as Mandy, that was having your parents split up and then eventually get back together. So was that surprising to you when all of a sudden the Strasberg family split up? And what was that like having to, you know, because Mandy is always such a cheery character. And then right before that started, we had the episode was Tales of a Small Town Thug, and we saw Mandy starting to be a little more depressed, anxious, closing herself off, and then all of a sudden we find out about these family troubles, and Mandy's going through all of this emotional turmoil. So what was it like suddenly changing all this tone as a character?
That was pretty difficult because it's like when your character's established as a certain, you know, kind of personality and always kind of sees the bright side of things and very positive, it can be hard to do a 180 like that. And suddenly it's like, well, how can I make her struggle and make her you know, sad without, it takes a lot of energy for one thing, because you're whether or not you as a person are sad, when you're being a sad character, you still feel those emotions. So it was, you know, it was pretty tiring after a day of being Mandy, going through all of these tough questions and all of these, you know, difficult situations. It kind of, you know, it was pretty challenging, and I had to figure out new ways to be Mandy, but with those emotions, you know. So it was an interesting change, and I'm really glad that she eventually found ways to get past that and get through it, you know, and become stronger for it. But I know that those episodes, you know, it was something that it's kind of a risk to do because it was pretty serious. But, you know, Adventures in Odyssey hasn't shied away from broaching serious topics before, I think. So yeah. I think it was a good thing in the end, and it was really interesting to go on that journey, so to speak, with Mandy.
What's it like crying on demand?
Well, for voiceover, it's a lot different. I mean, at least I didn't have to generate tears, so to speak. But sometimes it happens anyways. You know, when you're putting out that sound and when you're feeling it in your heart, you know, it's like it can happen. I don't know, but I'm pretty. It's fun. I don't know why I love showing emotion. I love having to cry, especially for voiceovers, because I don't know. It's just it's especially interesting when you hear yourself back and kind of gauging how realistic I sound. But I hope I did a pretty good job. I hope.
Yeah. So when your parents on the show first broke up like that, did they tell you how everything was going to end up in the end, or did you know how things were going to turn out? And If not, what did you think was going to happen? Did you think the Strasbergs were going to divorce or get back together? Or
I didn't know at first. I sort of had to go along and, with each turn of the storyline, a little bit at a time. So I wasn't sure. I don't remember at the time if they weren't sure. Do you remember how quickly it resolved? How many episodes did it take, approximately? I'm asking you again.
The course of the stories went over
46 to 49
so,
was the albums.
4 albums.
The number of episodes here. Let's open up in my playlist. Story arcs, Strasberg separation. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 episodes.
Okay. Yeah, so I was mostly, I was just surprised that, because they seemed like such a solid family, so I was really surprised that it happened, or that they were going through those problems, and I thought that they would end up, like, separating or getting, a divorce, so I'm glad that it, kind of worked out. It did, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like not remembering it wrong. Yeah. But yeah, I had no idea what was going to happen in the end.
And then in the end, because originally they weren't sure what was going to happen with the Strasbergs once they got back together, whether they were going to leave Odyssey or whether they were going to stay there. And in the end, they said, we decided to keep them in Odyssey because we thought that they had more stories to tell still. And then you only had one more episode with Trent after that, and that was the last time you appeared. So if all those characters hadn't been reset with new kids after that big hiatus in 2008, how would you have liked to see Mandy move forward in the future, whether with Trent or with her family or other things?
Well, I know we had the flash forward, but it would have been interesting to see their relationship develop. We got to see other characters, romantically get to know, date and grow in relationships. We never really got to see that. I would have liked to see Mandy get to grow up, maybe, I don't know, start a business in Odyssey and be like another place that people could come and hang out, or I don't know what kind of business she would have started. I would love to open. Yeah, Mandy's End. I would love to open. Maybe she could have started like a town newspaper, or I don't know. I personally would love to open like a theater / restaurant, like maybe where what are they called? Those they have those like
theater?
Dinner theater.
Yeah, dinner theater. I think that would be really fun. So maybe she could have opened a dinner theater. I don't know.
Well, Mandy did do a lot of playwriting, so
yeah, she could produce her own original works.
Yeah.
At a dinner theater.
You probably get a lot more business than the Harlequin did in Odyssey.
Yeah, well, it's not too late,
Yeah, can still come back. Edwin's not in Odyssey anymore, so someone has to take up the mantle of running the dinner theater.
We'll have to make sure that they get that idea.
Slip a subtle hint to Paul.
Yeah. That'd be so fun.
All right. And one last question about the show itself. And
I won.
This okay. You can ask yours first.
Okay. You were in the Novacom saga kind of briefly. Do you remember that? Like, it was the series about that company who was trying to do mind control.
Yeah, I remember the overall like arc of it. But
so, how much do you know about the saga, and what did you think of Mandy's part to play in it?
Oh, that's a good question. Maybe I should re-listen to those.
You should. It's really good.
I should. I know people love those episodes, and they were really intriguing at the time. I remember there was so much mystery, and what was going to happen next, and it was dangerous, and it was all kinds of interesting things were going on. But to be honest, I don't remember much about my part in the whole thing, so I'm sorry. I'll let you know sometime. I'll write a little addendum video, and I'll be like, I'll go back and listen. And then, what about you? What did you think of Mandy's part in the whole thing?
Well, you didn't really have a huge part like some of the other characters, but you were definitely there. Like, you were helping uncover some of the mysteries behind
You bought a birdhouse.
Some of the things.
It was a great deal.
Okay.
In the last album of the Novacom saga, you also helped Liz track down Jared.
Yes.
And that helped uncover some more things that were going on. And you helped with some of the things that were going on with Aram, and hung out with Alex and Cal and such.
Okay. I have a question for you. Would that be like a good, if somebody has never heard Odyssey before, would that be a good like story arc to play for them?
It's really good. I think the only thing with starting right there is that you don't really know who all the characters are yet, so it's kind of hard. I think if you listen to Malachi's Message, parts 1, 2, and 3, which is in album 32, before you start Novacom, that episode has a bunch of different story plots in it, and most of them tie into Novacom, so it's a really good prequel to it to kind of give you an idea of who the characters are and the things that happened beforehand that led into stuff happening there.
Okay, Malachi's Message. I'll remember that. Because now I want to listen to it again, but if I listen to it with anybody, I'm like, would they be totally lost? Or
Yeah. And that, when you said that, Victoria, that raised one other thing I wanted to ask about, because you were talking about Strange Boy in a Strange Land, camping with Mandy, and then stumbling across Jared in the woods. And you had a lot of episodes with Jared back in the day, and of course, Jared was always the wild conspiracy theorist coming up with all sorts of crazy ideas, and then he kind of disappeared from the show all of a sudden, and a couple people mentioned offhand here and there that he had to leave Odyssey suddenly. So that episode came along then, and it turns out that Jared's family was actually kept in the witness protection program. After all of the years he'd spent coming up with all sorts of crazy conspiracy theories, that he actually was involved right in the middle of a scheme for world domination. So
wasn't great.
What was that like to find out, Jared was right all along about, some of the ideas that he had in a boy who cried wolf kind of way?
It was great. I always think that people who seem crazy have a little something behind what they're saying. So I thought it was a fun twist, and I'm glad he got that not justification. What's the term?
Comeuppance, maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
He got his day.
Yeah, he got to finally have people believe him, and I'm glad that happened for him. it was totally interesting that he wasn't totally crazy. So.
Okay, and so coming back to that one question I mentioned, the last one about Adventures in Odyssey itself, and this wasn't on the list I sent you before, so if you can't think of an answer, that's all right.
Oh, that's okay.
So how would you say that your faith has been affected by being on the show? What has that done for you, being involved with Adventures in Odyssey?
Well, in general, growing up through it, I got to enjoy the messages as well, and I got to benefit from them on how people of faith deal with different things in life that come their way. So, just like anybody else who listened to it, I got to learn from it, and I always got to be proud that it was a good quality show that I got to be a part of. I always felt really lucky and really blessed. And yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of as far as how it affected me as, faith-wise. I really enjoyed the stories along with everybody, and I got to learn from Wit all of his wisdom that he. he's like not kind of the patriarch of the show. Obviously, he is the patriarch of the show. So I don't know. That's it. I'm rambling now. I don't know.
That's good.
Okay.
Okay, so we just have a couple questions then about non-Odyssey things that you've done. So when did you first realize that you wanted to do acting as a profession? Was it when you first started acting, or did you do it for a while and then you kind of realized one day, this is what I want to do?
It's kind of a continual process for me. I mean, when I was little, I thought it seemed fun, but you don't know about all that it involves when you're little. I love Shirley Temple, and I thought, I want to do that. Whatever she does, I want to do that. And so my mom helped me get started, and as I kept doing it, I was like, this is fun. It's easy for me, people treat you nicely. It's creative. I loved all those aspects of it. And then I grew up, and there were different challenges along the way. So it's kind of like I always had to keep reminding myself that I still wanted to do it. My mom would ask me a lot. She's like, if this isn't fun for you anymore, if it stresses you out, or for any reason, if you don't want to do it, just let me know. So I would every now and then kind of check in and be like, no, I still want to do it. I still love it. And turning into an adult actor has brought a whole new set of questions, because it's not just something you do for fun anymore. It's kind of like it's a career. You got to think of it as a career and as a business and all of those other things. So I kind of had to remind myself again that, yeah, I still really want to do it and I still really love it. It might be a little more challenging now because the pool of talent is bigger. So I've had to remind myself a lot in the last few years, like it's still worth doing. It's still my number one passion. So I think it'll always be kind of a question as I get older, especially because I have a lot of interests. I like cooking. I like traveling. I want to help people. So I'm like, how could I do that? And maybe I could
singing
be a psychologist. Yeah, I like so many things, and that's the one thing about acting is like I could pretend to be all those things, or if I gain a certain amount of success, I can also, try all those different things. Yeah, actors open restaurants and things like that. But I question all the time, like, do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to be a psychologist? Do I want to open a restaurant? But so far, acting is like my constant thing I keep coming back to. So I'm pretty sure it's what I'm going to be doing for a long time. Especially because you just never know. It's one of those things you can keep doing forever while you're doing other things, while you're in school, while you're bettering yourself in all kinds of ways. So I think I'll always come back to it no matter what.
So what's the favorite thing that you've done in voice acting or in like live action performing?
Well, I feel like my answer is always the same, but for voiceover, it's either Odyssey or Land Before Time, because I got to be with both of those the longest, and those are both of my most well-known characters, so I feel like those are both something I can be excited about, and both something I grew up doing. I did Odyssey from age like 7 or whatever it was till maybe 20, and then I did Land Before Time from age 8 to 18 or 19. So they're both the ones that I'm most closely connected to. And live action, I've done a lot of movies, and I mean not a lot of movies, but a fair amount of movies and TV and other things. But I still say, like, I love theater so much. I have Broadway dreams. But doing Hairspray, the live version, even though it was just with my school.
Yeah, that was Pasadena City College, right? You did that with?
Yeah, that was just so incredibly fun because I know all the songs and I know the story just backwards and forwards. So that was exciting to be a part of for me personally.
So how do you feel that your non-Odyssey acting roles have helped being on Odyssey, or vice versa, how being on Odyssey has helped you with the other things that you've done?
Well, like I said, since I grew up with Odyssey and grew up on the show, it gave me a lot of experience being like a strong character who got to, grow up and evolve and
explore a range of emotions.
Yeah, so it gave me experience behind a mic. It taught me a lot of what to do, what not to do. So that helped across the board. And honestly, any acting job is going to help you with your next one, or is going to help you with another one that you're doing, because it's just another facet of your personality that you get to explore, and it's a new challenge, and it's always going to strengthen you as an actor. So I think they've all pretty much helped each other in the long run.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the hardest part of being a voice actor or a live actor? Or actress, I suppose.
Either or.
Yeah.
The hardest part, I don't know. It probably just diversifying, like figuring out what kind of type you are. Some people just really get a lot of work with their specific kind of voice, or challenging yourself and trying new voices. Like I remember after the live episode, my mom's talking to me. Sorry, I'm like, bleh. Okay, up the street. Sorry. After the first one I did, I came home because everybody did so many voices, and I was like, I want to do something different. I want to try something that it doesn't sound like me. And then I got an audition for Stanley, which is a Disney kids show, for the role of a boy, and I got it. It was a little boy, and he was a bully, and I'm not sure he necessarily sounded like a real boy, but he was still different from me.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, so what are you gonna do about it, punk? See you later, ladies. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I got it, and I was really excited. So I mean, that's hard or it's not, depending on who you are. You got to take risks too with voices, and that can be hard for someone like me because I don't want people to think I sound weird or think I sound, silly, or I don't know, think I'm not good enough. So you gotta have a lot of confidence as a voiceover actor. And if you have that, it's easy, and if not, then that's something to overcome.
Do you want to ask the last few questions?
Okay. Does anyone ever recognize you when you are in public from your acting?
Or from your voice?
I've had a couple people. Like, I either say that I look familiar. There's one girl in particular who I was really surprised because she was young. She must have been like 8 or 9. And she just looked up at me and was like, Are you the voice of Mandy on Adventures in Odyssey? And I was like, yeah. I mean, I met her, she was like at a coffee shop or something. I don't even know how she heard me. And then she just asked me, I was like, yeah, that's a really good ear you have. And then she's like, and were you also in, I forget what it was she asked, Without a Trace or something. I was like, yeah. So she recognized me from, my face or an on-screen job and the Adventures in Odyssey. So that was pretty cool. I was excited about that. Kind of made my day. And then, go ahead.
Sorry, you go.
Well, that's what I was saying. Just here and there, especially more people who are big voiceover people who would know because they've heard my voice a lot. Just like, here and there. But that's all.
So speaking of on-screen roles, what was it like being in the Muppet movie? And there are a lot of star cameos in that movie. So, I mean, I know you've also met a lot of really big Hollywood stars other than that, but what was it like being in such a big production?
And did you get to talk to Amy Adams at all?
I did a little bit. I was there all day long for that tiny little, quick thing.
Yeah.
Because we ended up filming in the evening, and I had gotten there like around 8 in the morning. I was really excited, especially when I auditioned, I didn't know who the characters were when I had the lines, so I didn't know who I was going to be in the scene with. And then the wardrobe lady told me when I went to go get fitted for my costume, and I think I was in the little dressing room like like jumping up and down. I think as soon as I got in my car, I was like screaming the whole way because I love Amy Adams. I loved her in Enchanted, and I loved her. Oh, I mean, I've seen like all of her movies pretty much. So it was really exciting. I only really got to talk to her. Like I met her because she had been doing a whole bunch of filming all day because that takes a long time for that stuff. They brought me in. I said hi, and she was nice, but she was like in work mode.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, and then after, I think she was learning so much of that like on the spot, because these are like pickup scenes, and they had the majority of the movie filmed already, so she was kind of just like learning these things, learning all the moves and everything that they were teaching her. And then I got to talk to her a little bit afterwards, and I just told her, I mean, she was tired, and she had her baby there with her because she had just had a baby. I just told her how much I really enjoyed her work and got a picture with her, and then that was pretty much it. She was very sweet, though. And I think I saw Sarah Silverman in the makeup trailer. She was leaving, though, right as I went in. And it was a really fun environment. The people were really friendly. And sometimes, it can be hit and miss on certain sets. Some people can be stressed out and grumpy and not that nice. But it was a very positive environment. And I didn't get to meet Jason Segel. And I actually didn't get to meet any of the Muppets. I mean, not meet them, but I didn't get to meet any of the people who work with the Muppets, so to speak. I didn't get to see them. I was a little disappointed about that.
I would have tracked down Animal because I am like obsessed with him, and I've gotten like a bunch of pictures.
He's so cute.
Oh, no, you're not wearing your
I have an
shirt.
Animal shirt.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
I have a couple.
He's definitely one of the best. He was really funny in the most recent one. I'm excited about the new one that's coming out too. It looks really funny.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think the difference is for you between doing radio drama voice acting or cartoon voice acting or movie acting or TV show acting? How do they all differ from each other for you?
Wait, say that again. Voiceover versus...
So, like voiceover, doing it on the radio, or doing for cartoons, and acting, doing for movies or for TV show?
Well, a lot of times, like with radio, I think the only radio thing I've done really is Adventures in Odyssey. So, the only thing I can say that versus some of the animated projects. I mean, obviously, you don't get to see the radio show at the end, and it's interesting to see how your voice comes to life with an animated project when they animate to you, and to hear yourself come out of a character that's totally unlike you, as opposed to being able to imagine how everything looks, like a radio drama does for you. You get to imagine the characters and imagine what they look like, and I see myself when I hear Mandy. I always say I see myself, and when I see an animation project that I've done, I see the character. So that's the only way. It's more in the product versus in the recording of it, because they more or less function the same when you're in a recording studio. You get a little more time with a character when you're on a series, getting to do the same character over and over again. Because a lot of the other animated projects I did, I was just like a guest, or I was on once or maybe twice. So that's another little slight difference. And then being on camera, it had been a while when I did the Muppets. It had been a while since I had done any on camera, and I just remember feeling so tired. Like with voiceover, you're in and out. I mean, yeah, there were certain times I'd be in the studio from 8 a.m. until 3 or 4 p.m. But that was doing multiple episodes. And I just had kind of forgotten just how much work a live action thing takes. And then when I did, I've done some TV things since then, I'm just like, man, there's so many things you have to hold for any sound. There's so many like things that can go wrong. You have to reset and have everybody reset, and all the background people and all of the props and get powdered and all that stuff every time. So it's just a lot more tedious. I like it. I like both, but TV and film takes so much more effort for such a small amount of time. Like 30 seconds of screen time and just take an entire day, and that's mind-boggling to me still after all this time.
So then, along those lines, kind of similar, radio drama, voice acting versus cartoon, how do you like the difference between, recording everyone together, all the actors in the same studio for Odyssey versus typical VA just doing lines by yourself and being put together in post?
It's so much better recording with people, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
Because energy is important when you're talking to a friend. You want to hear how they say something. It affects how you say something, So if they're really big about something, you might be a little bigger. If they're more quiet, you're not going to react, So a certain way, you're going to kind of match them. So it really helps, and it's a lot more fun to have people in there because you can joke around. And I was generally more quiet. I mean, if you interview people in the future, I'm sure you'll see like a lot of voiceover actors are very big. They have big personalities, and they'll just do all kinds of voices all the time and all kinds of characters and impressions. And I was never really like that. I was kind of just quiet and reserved, but it was fun hearing other people do that kind of stuff. It was fun hearing all the adults goof off while I was just sitting there quietly. So it's great being with other people. I noticed that recently I just recorded Baby It's Cold Outside with my friend, and we had to do that separately, and I was always used to singing it with him at the same time, so there's that back and forth. There's,
yeah,
I respond to somebody. So that was kind of weird. It was weird doing it like that. It was a challenge, I should say.
It's hard when you can't play off someone else.
Yeah.
Like that.
And that's why I love theater, and it's growing on me. I didn't realize when I was a kid that I wanted to do theater. It took, I think I did one of my first main roles in a play when I was 17, and from then on I was hooked. Because it's so cool getting to tell a story from beginning to end, in sequence, and within the time that the story takes place about, you don't take months and months and months to to shoot like an hour and a half, or to tell an hour and a half story. It's all in order, and I really do like that about theater. It's fun.
So just a couple last questions, Victoria.
So how has being a Christian affected your acting choices?
Well, growing up as a kid, it was certainly my parents protected me, from a lot of controversial or tough subject matter, or anything that our standard was always like, is the story worth telling? So it's not that my character can't do bad things or act a certain way or act unchristian. It's just like if the character, if the story had a redeeming purpose,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, when I was little, I pretty much avoided anything that was risky, because I was young and I was very protected. But as I've gotten older, it's always something I have to think about. It's always like, do I really, this character is a little out there. Like, is it really something I want to be a part of, or is it something I can be proud of? So I do have to ask myself that. And I admit there are times where like I've I've taken a risk, and I've said, well, it's not really something it's completely comfortable, but for me, but I'll try it once. I'll try this kind of role, and I'll see what happens. And if I don't feel good about it after, then it's a lesson learned at least. It's never been anything terrible, but as an actor, you're always walking that line. And as a Christian actor especially, you're walking that line between, okay, am I playing a character, and can I be okay with it because it's not me, and it's somebody totally different from me, or do I really need to can I do that while at the same time promoting my values? So it's still something I'm learning how to do, and but being a Christian, it affects everything. I think it should affect everything you do. It affects the choices you make and how you treat people. So overall, it definitely does. But I'm learning as I go.
That's a very good answer.
You ask.
So, is there anything you've ever had to like directly turn down something then because it just didn't fit with what you wanted to be doing?
Yeah. There was I don't know, I mean, if you want me to be specific.
No, only if you want to. You don't have to name any names.
Yeah. Well, there was a movie that I went out for, or that I was submitted for and I had an audition for. I guess I can just say it. It was called 13. And there was just a lot of really gratuitous material. And they wanted, somebody 12, 13 to be doing these things. And we read the script and we were just really uncomfortable with that. My mom at first, and obviously I was too. So I turned that down, and it ended up becoming I think it was like recognized by the Academy, like at least nominated. Some of the lead actresses were nominated for their portrayals of these characters. So that was it was interesting because I was like, wow, I could have been in that movie. It kind of launched some careers, I would say, because it was kind of a breakout role. They lauded these girls for how much they went through for them. But I'm glad in the end I didn't take part in it because I think it was too much for girls of that age. At least for me personally, I thought it was just too. It went too far. And there were other examples, like when I was even younger, there were a couple films that I think I auditioned for, and we didn't know at the time what the whole entire script was about. But then we found out later, and decided that they weren't things that we could be a part of. There were violent death scenes, and things where there was a character once where I was supposed to call my mom like a name, that kids shouldn't call their mothers, and things like that. We just had to kind of take it as it came and decide case by case what we were comfortable with. But there were definitely things what we turned down for sure.
And just one more quick thing. Who do you think is the coolest big star you've ever got to meet, or the most excited you've ever got about meeting one particular actor or actress? Because I know, like you've said, you've met a lot of big people. You got to meet Amy Adams. You were in Santa with Muscles with Hulk Hogan. I've seen pictures of you with Shia LaBeouf from when you were really young. You got to meet Jar Jar Binks at New Year's Eve last year.
Yes. Oh, wow. It's really hard. I'm terrible when I meet celebrities. I turn into a puddle. Like, I can't talk. I just turn into like a fan.
I understand completely. You should have seen how excited we were when we found out we were going to get to talk to you.
Really? Oh, that's so sweet. It's terrible though. You'd think like growing up in the industry that I'd be like totally cool. Like, oh, they're just people, whatever. And they are. Like, mentally, I know that they're just people. But it's different when you really like somebody, or when you really like admire somebody and you've connected to a story they've told. It's gonna be exciting. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be gonna be a fan. Let's see, like I met Kristin Chenoweth very briefly. I had to wait in line for like an hour and a half because I went to her book signing, and I said, she complimented my sweater, and I was like, I told her I wanted to work with her one day, and she's like, "Oh, honey, I want to work with you too." And I was like, I felt like such a dork.
To be fair, you probably took that way better than I would have if I met her, because she is Kristin Chenoweth, and I would have like flipped. And
I practically did. I had to work very hard. I was just like the whole time, I'm like, what if she says this? What if she says that? Like, what can I say to her that'll like make me stand out but like not be weird? Like, how can I come across like a normal person but also adequately express just how much I love her? There was just no winning in that scenario. You know what I mean? I was just glad to talk to her and like move along without making an absolute fool of myself, which I did. I think I accomplished that. So that was cool. Sorry. I saw Reese Witherspoon from a distance. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I think it's funny how you say that. How we think, oh, this person is so incredible, but they feel the same way about that. Like, when I first got onto Facebook, I became friends with all these people from Odyssey who are in all of these things, and then I see things like how excited you get over other people. Or I remember one story that Chris Anthony put on, and she was in an elevator in a building somewhere, and I can't remember who it was, but some really famous singer or actor got into the elevator, and she's like...
It was like Richard Gere or something, I remember that.
Some older famous actor, and she's like, I need to say something intelligent, and then she finally said, like, nice elevator, isn't it? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And she was just livid after the fact. She's like, I can't believe I melted like that. It's funny, you know, like, she was the voice of Barbie for years and years and has done all sorts of big things. And it's crazy, you know, you think someone who's done all of that can still end up like that in front of someone else.
I know. It's terrible. It's terrible. It really is. It's always so embarrassing. But at least I'm still glad I've gotten to meet people. Like, I wouldn't change that for anything. But I'm trying to think of if anybody else that I made a complete fool of myself in front of Denzel Washington one time. Yeah, that was fun. Wait, what did you say?
Don Knotts, I think you met.
Oh yeah, but I was so little that
I would say he's not someone who most people know nowadays, but you know, he was pretty big way back in the day.
I know who that is.
Don Knotts, of course. He was so sweet, and he's like really, really old too when I met him, but he was adorable. And Jim Varney, who played Ernest. I was really excited to meet him. I worked with him twice though, so I don't know which one was first. I think the Annabelle's Wish was first. And I was just beside myself because he was Ernest. I mean, did you ever see the Ernest movies?
I've seen a couple of them.
I've seen reviews of them. I have a vague memory, like I probably saw one when I was really, really little, but, you know, I don't actively remember it.
Okay.
Victoria was a huge fan of Annabelle's Wish when she was little. I remember when she first got it, she watched it she was Emily.
You were Emily?
She watched it every single day.
Oh my gosh. I have like an Annabelle plushie in my room from when I was little, and I have it on VHS, and I like watch it every Christmas I can, and
cool.
I love that movie.
Me too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I can remember Emily's voice.
I told you that once a long time ago. I guess you forgot about it.
I think I did. Yeah, I can picture people's characters, like the characters' voices in my head after, and oh my gosh, that was you.
Yeah! Yay! That was really fun too, because I got to go to St. Louis, Missouri for their Thanksgiving parade, and I got to meet a whole bunch of people at Make-A-Wish because that movie, like the production company donated money to Make-A-Wish, so I got to meet a bunch of people who were like, had made wishes, you know, kids with terminal illnesses, and that was quite the experience. I was pretty young too, maybe 9 or 10 when I got to do that. So it was really special. That whole movie was really special.
I guess now we'll turn our viewers back over to other Devin and Victoria to close the episode. So you say bye to...
Bye!
Bye!
Bye! Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Welcome. Have a good one. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, even though it's late. And Happy New Year.
You too.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Hopefully you enjoyed our interview, because we certainly did. We had a wonderful time talking to Arya, even though we had that one moment where her laptop died and we thought that she hung up on us and we weren't going to finish the interview, and it was kind of
thought that she got tired of us, and
I was panicking. I was like, she's not online on Facebook or Skype, and I can't text her because I don't have her number. I was like, what are we going to do? And Victoria's like, Devin, calm down.
I'm the voice
of reason. It all worked out in the end. So thank you so much to all the people who sent in questions. I'm sorry if someone sent in questions late and they didn't make it in, but we got in as many people as we could up to the deadline. So thank you to
Tiger in the Shadows, Austin Rice, Monty, H. Tide, and Devin and I.
Yes. Those last two are just like the best. Such intelligent questions that they asked. So make sure that you stay tuned after the credits for a very special bonus presentation from Arya. We have a very important announcement now for the Oddcast. Because our lives are very crazy and we're very busy people, both of us, we can't get episodes out every single week on schedule, in case you guys haven't noticed. We're kind of constantly behind schedule and then releasing episodes in big bursts of multiple ones at once to try and catch up.
And we're really sorry about that.
Yeah, this isn't the way that we want to do things. So starting with this episode, moving on into the future, we are going to be changing our broadcast schedule to doing bi-weekly episodes. So every second week, we will be releasing an episode starting this week, which was supposed to be the last week of December / the first week of January 2013 / 2014. It was like split down the middle. New Year's was on Thursday, I think. So moving on from this point forward, it'll be every second week that we're doing it. So as you guys should have figured out by now, in case you've forgotten, the way we broadcast our episodes is we alternate weeks between doing a review of 2 episodes and doing some other different type of Oddcast episode. And so that's going to be the same thing in the future. So basically, in essence, every month there's going to be 2 episodes, almost, because I mean a month isn't exactly 4 weeks, where you have one episode that does 2 reviews and one that does something special. Now, for the reviews, as we're entering into 2014, that means the Odyssey Adventure Club is beginning. And because we are dedicated and we want to get these things out to you guys so that you can understand what's going on in the world of Odyssey, Victoria and I have purchased a subscription to the Odyssey Adventure Club so that we can listen to these episodes and we can review them and tell you guys what we think about them. So because there'll be 1 episode coming out every month, that means that our monthly, basically, review episodes of the Oddcast will be 1 Adventure Club episode and then 1 other episode that we do, and then the other one in the month will be something else. When we get to album 58, that'll mean every single episode during the airing of that album will be a double review. And for the Adventure Club episodes that come out during that time, I don't really know how that's going to work. Things will get a little complicated, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. That's not until the fall. This hadn't happened yet when this episode was supposed to come out, but it has happened now. So Victoria, you'll please tell people.
Okay, something really sad has happened in the world of Odyssey. And that is our beloved Dave Madden has sadly passed away.
On January 16th.
And so we're just going to talk about that a little bit here.
Yes. Dave Madden has been with Odyssey for a very long time. He played Bernard Walton, most prominently, who is, the 5th most common character on the show, I believe, last I checked. And so it is very sad to have lost him. We often talk on the Oddcast about how much we want Bernard to come back because he hasn't been on the show since BTV Live, since the intermission of the second hiatus. The last canon episode he was in album 50. So it's very sad that we know now that he won't be coming back at all, and we will miss him greatly. He first appeared in episode 30 way back in the day in Honor Thy Parents, and the first time he appeared as Bernard was in album 8 in By Any Other Name, and like I just said, the last time he appeared canonically was The Triangled Web Part 2 in album 50, and he was also in BTV Live during the hiatus. So altogether, he was 94 episodes, acting as 19 different characters, and he was even in one of the Odyssey animated video series, which was The Last Days of Eugene Meltzner.
Which happens to be the only one we actually own in the series.
That's true. So, it is very sad that Bernard has passed away. In honor of that, the reason we're telling you this right now and not the next episode, our review episode, when that would have actually happened within our broadcasting schedule, is in honor of Dave, the other episode, the Non-Adventure Club episode that we'll be reviewing next week, or in 2 weeks' time, will be By Any Other Name, the first episode in which Bernard Walton appeared. So, in our January review episode, you can look forward to that. Episode 26 of the Oddcast will be reviewing the January Adventure Club episode, which is The Launch, Part 1, and we will also be reviewing By Any Other Name in honor of our dear beloved Dave Madden, who was, I should mention, was also very most well known for being Reuben Kincaid on The Partridge Family, as well as being on Charlotte's Web, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, Boy Meets World, and other things like that. So, we miss him very much, but...
We'll wash our windows now.
Yes.
Yes, it was very sad. Me and Devin almost cried when we heard the news.
So we'll be reviewing By Any Other Name next time, along with the launch part 1 in honor of Dave Madden. And so, until next time, that's all that we have for now, except for a little thing. If you stay to the end of the video, we got Arya to record a little something special for us because she's wonderful.
And you get to hear us completely be total spazzes.
But other than that, until next time, thank you for joining us on our side of the YouTube. This has been Devin Francis.
And this is Victoria, and our guest was Aria.
And you've been watching The Adventures in Odyssey Oddcast.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I've been meaning to watch all the Land Before Time movies again, and now I have a really valid excuse.
Okay. See, I haven't even seen those in a long time.
Speaking of which, I was going to ask you, do you want to give us a yup, yup, yup? I know you get asked that all the time, but do you want to give us one?
Okay. One of my best friends just called me the other day on Christmas. She's like, can you do a ducky for my nephew? And I did. But it's fun, because I always love hearing people, especially if I'm on the phone and I hear, like, all of a sudden they start laughing and getting all excited. It's fun. Okay, let's see. It was really nice to talk to you today. Yup, yup, yup.
Oh my gosh. The whole time I'm going to be watching the movies, I'm just going to be like, I talked to her.
I do not like when the internet goes out. Oh, no. Wait, that's not the internet. It wasn't the internet. My computer, but same thing.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I hope that was good.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You're welcome.